Okay, stratified sample. Sometimes a population includes groups of members who share common characteristics, such as gender, age, or education level. Such groups are called strata. A stratified sample has the same proportion of members from each stratum as the population does. Individuals in each strata are selected randomly. Okay, so let's look at this one. Before booking bands for the school dances, the student council at Statsville High School wants to survey the music preferences of the student body. The following table shows the enrollment at the school. Okay, so notice each grade here is considered a strata. These are our strata. There's 4 strata here. Okay, okay, so Part A, it says design a stratified sample for 25% of the student body. So I'm going to start A here, and we'll do B up here because A needs a little bit more room. The first thing we have to do is determine how many students of each grade we want to sample. And because our sample has to have the same proportion of grade 9 students as our population does. We need the same proportion of grade 10 students as our population does, and so on and so forth. So, how do we do this? Yeah, good. So we'll go 255 times 0.25. Maybe I'll write that in brackets because the dots might be a little. And that is equal to approximately 64. B, grade 10, we got 232 times 0.25, and that is equal to 58 students. C, 209 times 0.25, and that's approximately equal to 52. And D, or grade 10, it would have been better if I just called them grade 10, grade 11, grade 9. I just kind of mixed that up a bit, so let me fix it. This is A, this is grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. Okay, so we have 184 times 0.25, and that's approximately equal to 46. And when we add this up, we get 220, which is, this is 25% of the student body. Okay, then you're going to have to number these. Since there's 2 digits, you number each grade 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, etc. and use a random number generator to select 64 students from grade 9, 58 students from grade 10, 52 students from grade 11, and 46 students from grade 12. Okay, part A. Part B, what other ways are there to stratify this sample? Gender, anything else? Gender, gender, age, how about maybe by culture? People might want music from their culture. So far, so good. Often a sample is selected simply because it is easily accessible. While obviously not as random as some of the other techniques, such convenient samples can sometimes yield useful information. So let's just go back here. So the stratified random sample has randomness involved as implied by its name. Convenient sample is not as good because there's no randomness involved. You can get useful information, but if you really want your sample to represent the population, convenience is not as good. Voluntary response, which we'll talk about, this has randomness involved, and multi-stage samples have randomness involved. So let's just say R has randomness, this one, this one, this one no, R. R indicates which sampling techniques have some randomization. Did anyone still need that, or somebody said yeah? A voluntary response sample, the researcher simply invites any member of the population to participate in the survey. So the results from the responses are skewed, or there's some bias. They contain some bias, right? Because the people who choose to respond are not often representative of the population. Call-in shows, mail-in surveys rely on voluntary response samples. Do you ever listen to these shows on the radio where they just have people call in and give their opinion? That's voluntary response sample. So the people who choose to respond are interested in the topic, and they don't necessarily represent the population. So this is not random and not random. Cluster sample. If certain groups are likely to be representative of an entire population, you can use a random selection of such groups as a cluster sample. For example, a fast food chain could save time and money by surveying all its employees at randomly selected locations instead of surveying randomly selected employees throughout the chain. So for example, let's say we want to do a survey of teachers in the Toronto District School Board. So what we could do, this is just another example, randomly select 10 schools in the Toronto District School Board and interview all the teachers at each school. Okay. So they call each school is considered a cluster. So each school in this example is considered a cluster. So notice again the randomness. Randomly, when you have randomness, it helps improve your sample being representative of the population. The next type is the multi-stage sample. A multi-stage sample uses several levels of random sampling. For example, if your population consisted of all Ontario households, you could first you select your cities, right? See how it's multi-level? So you select maybe, I don't know, 10 cities. Within each city, you might select 10 subdivisions. And within each subdivision, you might select 10 houses. However you decide to design it. Can I answer any questions on these sampling techniques? Good. Okay. So there's your homework. Just do all the questions. I guess it's 1 to 9. And you probably get it done by the end of class. So